What's up, ladies and gents? This is KSigKid coming at you with another Destiny video. Today, we're doing another primary weapon review. We're going to review a weapon and kind of give you the heads up because you can buy a great god tier Parthian Shot if you want. So that's why we're putting out this video on a Friday. That gives you plenty of time to go ahead and grab legendary marks if you want the 150 in order to buy this sucker from the Vanguard Quartermaster. Now this is actually the version that I bought, and it was a few weeks ago where I picked this one up. So just taking a look at the sites, all of the clips that you're actually going to see are me using this exact loadout. I've got Rodeo on, but I want to talk about Feeding Frenzy versus Rodeo in just a little bit. Then I've got hand-laid stock for all the stability you could want, and of course, counterbalance. Now the big thing, this is the big impact class of pulse rifles, the biggest one, and yes, you can indeed 2-burst. So if you're in the right range, you're going to be dealing out 34 damage a headshot for 3 headshots, which is 102 damage times 2, 204 damage. Yes, you can indeed 2-burst Guardians yet again in the Crucible. Now let's get this out there right away. If you're just an average to bad shot, just like I am, you're really not going to be seeing those 2-burst kills. More often than not, a 3-burst is going to be your key. Now, 2-bursting, that could happen. I really didn't see it that often at all. It also depends on the enemy health rating, so even if you get all of those headshots, if the enemy has more than 204 health, well, you're not going to be getting a 2-burst. Luckily, it's still a decent time to kill, even if you have to fire off 3 bursts. Even if you have to fire off 3 bursts and hit all body shots, it's 1.2 seconds. So for all body shots, it's actually pretty good. So if you're actually a really bad shot, this is actually a really solid gun. If you're a really great shot, this is also a really solid gun. It kind of is if your shot is just in the middle, where it might kind of be a bit nebulous for you. But if you're bad, or if you're really great, you're going to be in a world of really good killing. So let's talk about my role versus the one that the Vanguard Quartermaster has this week. The one the Vanguard Quartermaster has counterbalance, and it also has outlaw. So if you get a precision kill, you're going to reload blindingly fast. Now what I was saying beforehand was, I really like Rodeo in counterbalance. I never gave my Feeding Frenzy really a chance, and I didn't in all of these clips. It was only last night where I decided to go and fire off at a wall. I wanted to see how much Rodeo made an actual difference with this gun. Now unfortunately, I could not toggle on and off counterbalance. Counterbalance once picked is always going to be on, simply can't toggle that on and off. But I was able to go ahead and toggle on and off Rodeo, and I was able to lower and higher my stability with hand-laid stock versus my second perk. So what I did was, I put on Rodeo, and I fired off at the wall. I put on Rodeo, I fired off at the wall, I fired off some 400 bullets at least. And I put Rodeo on, I took it off, I put Feeding Frenzy on, I took it off, and quite frankly, I didn't notice enough of a difference, enough of a consistent and constant difference with my firing pattern with Rodeo on or off. What I did notice was, whenever I put my stability up or down, that made an absolutely massive difference. So for me, whenever I'm using this gun right now, I'm absolutely going to be using Feeding Frenzy from now on, because Rodeo just didn't make any difference. It didn't make any noticeable difference for me, and having that quicker reload speed is going to be absolutely phenomenal. So if you've got the chance to pick up the Outlaw version, absolutely do it. Do I think Outlaw or Feeding Frenzy is going to be better? I think Feeding Frenzy may be slightly better. Yes, Outlaw probably does and should reload faster, but it's not going to be that much more insane as opposed to Feeding Frenzy, which is quite quick as it is. So I'm really going to be happy with my version that just happened to have Feeding Frenzy as opposed to Outlaw, or simply some other worse perk. So Feeding Frenzy is definitely the way to go, but also have that max stability. I can't stress how much stability makes a difference, especially whenever you're going for longer range kills like that. And that's kind of one of the reasons why you have on this style of pulse rifle to begin with. If you're really complaining about getting stuck with sticky grenades, or getting killed by the absolute monsters that are the 2 body shot, 1 headshot hand cannons, then something like a pulse rifle like this or simply some type of scout rifle, that's exactly what you should be gravitating towards. Why put yourself in harm's range of a sticky? Why put yourself in the deadliest hand cannon range? Stay back. If you can stay back and still hit like a truck, why not do it? Especially if you're really complaining about the stuff that's getting you killed up close and personal. Just something to think about. I know a lot of people are really sick of stickies. You know, stickies kind of rose to the top. With all the weapon nerfing, stickies kind of rose to the top. But you still have options at the primary slot in order to pick something that still kills and can keep you safer. In fact, right here, that guy was definitely trying to hit me with something. I don't know what he was trying to hit me with, but I was able to get off enough shots to stagger him and keep him away from me. Completely clean bill of health. And again, this thing has so much impact that even at a far range like that, I was still dealing out 21 damage to the body, as opposed to at max range, I'm dealing out 23 damage. So it's really interesting with pulse rifles. Pulse rifles are interesting because one, you've got damage fall off, but also you have damage burst. So the actual damage that you can pump out on any shot really varies. For instance, if you're in maximum range, you could deal anything from 23 damage to 102 damage on one trigger pull. That is a pretty massive discrepancy. So it's really something to think about. Obviously, more often than not, you're not going to hit only one burst from your shot. It will happen every now and then, but if you're just putting in all body shots in range, that's 69 damage, and again, all headshots in range, that's 102 damage. You can see that this number can actually really rack up. And if you're really lucky like that, you can get off a kill even if the enemy gets a drop on you, because some of the other weapons like the auto rifles, well, they suffer damage fall off. You also need to get a ton of critical hits in order to get the maximum time to kill, so you could still pull out your Parthian Shot and still get off enough shots to end up grabbing the kill. Parthian Shot, since it hits so hard, is also really nice at cleaning up enemies. Destiny in Destiny's Crucible is all about team shotting anymore. It simply is. In the 6v6 game modes, and even the 3v3 game modes, let's not kid ourselves. How often do you really ever find yourself in one-on-one engagements? That doesn't happen that often. More often than not, you're fighting one person, and then the next thing you know, 3 of their buddies are coming around the corner, and all of them are shooting you at one time. Most of the time, you're just not in one-on-one engagements. If you see an enemy somewhere, chances are one of your teammates sees the enemy as well, and they're putting in shots while you're putting in shots, and it's just going to go that way. That's just the way it's going to go. So, if you've got something that has a lot of impact, and your teammates are putting in shots, you might very well be able to clean up that enemy, because you've got so much damage on one trigger pull. Conversely, if you see the enemy first, you're going to rip through the health pretty easily, and then your teammates are going to grab all the shots, and you're going to end up with a ton of assists. That is just the way it goes. That's just the way it goes in Destiny. The whole meta in Destiny has changed so much. It is true right now that pretty much every weapon type is viable in some manner. Now, people haven't used these weapon types in a long time, but they certainly are viable. Back in year 1, auto rifles weren't viable at all after the nerf. Obviously in the very beginning they were, but after the nerf they simply weren't viable. Now you really can get away with anything that you actually want, but everything is so situational. Is every weapon type absolutely the best in dominating on every single map? No, definitely not. I would say hand cannons, those 81 impact class of hand cannons, those have the best shot at being viable on all maps. Some of these other ones though, they really depend on map size. Something like this map, where I've got some range and some lines of sight, this is where these type of pulse rifles can really come into play. If you're in a much closer quarters range type of game, you're not going to want to use the Parthian Shot, because you simply have to get too close, and by that time, the rate of fire is going to hurt you. The bigger the map, the better this weapon or scout rifle will really shine. So I had a really good time with this weapon. It was a long time coming for using a pulse rifle of this impact class, this slow rate of fire. I miss my old Hopscotch Pilgrim. Who remembers those suckers from year 1? Obviously they've been changed for sure. They've lost their rate of fire in impact class to a whole different variety, but this kind of brought me back just a little bit to that day, and I had fun. So I would recommend, if you've got the legendary marks to spare, take a quick trip in the tower over to the Vanguard Quartermaster and go buy his Parthian Shot. Again, it's got counterbalance and it has outlaw. That's going to work out really, really well for you. Anyway, guys and gals, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, smack that like button and subscribe to the channel. Check out these awesome videos. Good luck with your raids, your drops, your Parthian Shot, and I'll see you around in Destiny. #2burst is back.